Gano.
Gano.
I hope he's Graham Yes.
Do you Graham
63.
Gano? He's the right kicker to pick up. Get it?
He is the Graham Cracker himself.
Graham Cracker of kickers. All right, well, that's about enough Graham Gano talk for the rest of my life. Are you ready to start?
Yes.
So let's talk about some news from the week, and then we can get into the games. The first thing I got is Kadarius Toney getting traded to the Chiefs. Pretty crazy. He hasn't played much this season, and he has a hamstring injury right now. So I'm not like extremely excited about it, but I mean, what do you think?
I like him going there. I think he's a good player. He doesn't fit in with the Giants. Obviously, they had problems back last year too. But when he was out there playing football, he can ball. So having Pat Mahomes at quarterback, he'll definitely get an opportunity to shine.
I agree. I just feel like the Chiefs are gonna spread the ball around too much with all their receivers, but he does have a lot of talent, and we haven't seen a lot of him. So I don't know. He can't stay
I think he's
healthy.
more electrifying than Juju Smith-Schuster by far, who is.
Oh yeah, he's the most talent they'll have at receiver for sure. But can
And
he stay
Tyreek Hill
healthy?
did draw a lot of targets, so if he can fill that role, I mean, he's no Tyreek Hill, but if he can fill that role and get 10 targets a game, I mean,
Oh yeah, that would be huge. I picked him up randomly because I traded Wandale Robinson in Botheads, and I was like, well, traded Wandale, pick up Kadarius, maybe he'll come back and play, and then they traded him to the Chiefs like 2 days later. So that was pretty cool for me.
yeah, it might be so spread out right now just because there isn't no like go-to guy over there.
True.
Like,
It could be more like that. You're onto something possibly there. Well, maybe he'll help me
obviously
not
pick him up if
goose
he's on your
anymore.
waiver,
Yeah, for sure. What is he? 67% rostered though, so it'll be kind of rough. But I'm sure that's went up since the news. I bet you it was really low when it first happened.
probably.
But yeah, I started freaking Rashad Bateman on Thursday after starting Romeo Dobbs last week, so I could really use some help from Kadarius Toney. Not getting a goose would be amazing one of these weeks. 3 and 4, man, it's rough for me.
Yeah, 3 and 4, you're staying alive. A lot of teams out there
I
that are
know.
about 500.
I
It's a
like my
big
roster a
week.
lot too. I really need to get a dub this week. Yeah, the goose did not
Yeah, every
help.
week is so important in fantasy. Like when it comes down to it, if you're trying to make the playoffs, it takes a lot of luck and a lot of timing.
Right, and the right team to boot. All right, so the next thing we got is J Rob. This happened right after we recorded on Saturday too. It sucked because we were just talking about how J Rob had no carries. Remember? Or it was on Monday.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm like so brain dead. But yeah, on Monday we were talking how J Rob had no carries Sunday, and it was so weird how ETN just got all the work and then he got traded the next day. They just didn't want him to get injured. I'm pretty sure they probably were already in discussions on trying to trade him. And then Brees
Yeah,
gets hurt
probably.
and shabam. So that's pretty cool. So what?
Yeah, I wonder what that's gonna mean for the Jets.
How do you think it's going to shake out with James Robinson and Michael Carter there?
Michael Carter was being phased out by Brees Hall. They liked Michael Carter a lot before Brees Hall, so I think it's gonna go back to a 60-40 with Michael Carter leading
At first, I
the
do agree.
backfield.
Yep. Yep. At first, I
So they'll
think
be competing, whoever plays better, and then it might go James Robinson like first and second down, and Michael Carter in the passing role and third down and shit.
I don't see either one taking like a head and shoulders lead at least for a little bit. They're going to give them both carries, try to feel it out. So they're both worth
I think
rostering.
it's Michael Carter's job to win.
I'd rather have Michael Carter, I think, too. What about you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about is just the Jamar Chase injury and how much it sucks. I guess he's not going on IR, though, so that's something. He might not be out 4 games. Right? I think they're on bye in the middle of it, right? Or, yeah, week 10 is their bye, so
Yeah, I
they're
believe
hoping
so.
he can come back week 11 versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know if I don't like seeing him go on IR. I think I'd rather just see him go on IR and miss the 4 weeks. But I mean, there's hope that he can play before the 4 games if he's not on IR. I'd hate to like see him go on IR in like a week or two. It just makes me nervous that like, or maybe he'll just be okay by then.
Yeah, T. Higgins, he catapults straight into the top 12, yeah?
Yeah.
And how about Tyler Boyd?
wide receiver too, especially this week against Cleveland. I mean,
Oh yeah,
he
for
might be a
sure.
wide receiver one, but easy top 24 wide receiver.
The next 3 games are Cleveland, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. So, and then Tennessee.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
have a man. That's huge. So, just sucks to see Chase go down. But what are you gonna
yeah,
do?
before the season, I was preaching if you have Higgins or Chase, try to get Tyler Boyd. He's going to be cheaper. And if something does happen to either your guy or the other guy, Tyler Boyd's a slot, and you can play both Higgins and Boyd if you had them,
Yeah, for
especially
sure.
this week against Cleveland.
He's like the best wide receiver handcuff you can get, and he has some pretty good standalone. He's like the cream hunt of receivers.
He is. I like him better than Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, you can flex
He's
him
third.
with them both healthy. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like he's totally irrelevant, and he'll have good and bad games. So, yeah, I like Tyler Boyd. Probably keep that in mind for next season, huh?
Yeah.
During the draft season. All right, you ready to
Yeah,
get into
if you
these?
draft one of the two Bengals receivers, if you spend a lot of capital on them, and Tyler Boyd's going to be there late.
Yeah, definitely. You're probably gonna have to draft him a little earlier than you'd like, but 10th round or something. Who knows? But ready to get into these games?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a Germany game, a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, Denver and Jacksonville. So we got Mr. Unlimited Russ coming back. He's making everyone cringe so much. I don't know. Do you hear that story? He's like running up and down the aisles on the plane going to Germany, and his teammates like hate him or something. I don't know. Just been seeing a lot about Russ. It's been
All the
rough.
stories I hear, it seems like he's like a toddler trapped in like a NFL
Oh,
quarterback's
dude, I
body.
actually was reading this story. It was so crazy. It was talking about how Russ, he's trying to get his diet to the point where he doesn't have to shit anymore. He's shitting like once a week because he wants to like something about how he wants his time to be all used for like it's
I will
crazy.
be so strong. I will never shit. Imagine the time I will save.
I
Like
wonder what
what?
he's eating. It's like eating like a plant a day or something. Like Jesus, man.
I mean, I don't know. Just because they tell me that everyone poops, maybe Russ is onto something.
He's rewriting that book, man. Everyone poops
Jesus.
except for Mr. Unlimited. All right. So
Except for Russ
anyways,
Wilson.
so I think they're both decent starts this week, Russ and Lawrence. I would try to get away from Russ if I could, but I mean, it's gonna be
I want
rough,
to bench Russ. I actually am starting Daniel Jones and Geno
Yeah,
Smith
they've
with
got good
Russell Wilson on my
matchups,
bench.
and Russ is coming off an injury, so waiting a week is not the worst thing you can do. Would you start Derek Carr or Russ this week?
Derek Carr.
What about T. Law? Would you start T. Law or Derek Carr this week? T. Law against Denver.
I think
Derek Carr against New Orleans.
Trevor Lawrence. But
Okay.
it's pretty much a tie for me. It's like a coin flip.
So it would
However you're
go
feeling on that.
Lawrence, Carr, Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson's on the bottom of pretty much whatever list.
All right, let's move on to the running backs then. Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray. They signed Marlon Mack off of the 49ers practice squad. So any interest in any of these Denver running backs?
That three-headed dog right there. I'm just gonna stay away from it.
And the other side, Etienne, and we're moving on. Yeah,
ETN's
must start.
yeah. ETN's gonna be looking nice. With
Oh
no
yeah,
J-Rob
I've got a
taking
lot of
carries.
ETN too. I can't wait for, and it's the early game, so I get to watch the whole thing. See how he's looking. You know.
I'm excited to watch this game.
What are you thinking about the pass catchers in this game?
I think you can start two of them and feel semi-comfortable, either with Sutton or Christian Kirk. Jerry Judy, I don't feel as comfortable with, but you're definitely still able to start him.
And then the Jones brothers, they're just target hogs, so
You
they're
pretty much pick
flexible in
one.
deep
Like
leagues.
if
You know,
yeah, if you need a flex and they're available probably.
I think Zay
Marvin
Jones is my
Jones is
favorite
not on
one,
a
though.
lot of teams. Yeah.
But Zay Jones is still only 37% rostered. So Jerry Judy he's weird. He looked really good last week without Russ though. 11 targets, 7 catches, 96 yards. Pretty good. 17 fantasy points against Jacksonville. I think I would fire Jerry Judy up this week, honestly.
Yeah, you definitely can.
And then any
He's out there. He's
interest
been
in,
getting targets the past 3 weeks.
I was gonna say the tight ends, Dolchich or Ingram. I think they're pretty
Not
similar,
really.
honestly. They're just like if you're desperate for a streamer tight end, I think that you could do worse than both. But
agree.
I would not be rushing to start either. Okay, let's just move on to the next game here. It's a real barn burner. We have Carolina, Atlanta. We have Mr. Marcus Mariota throwing the ball frickin' 14 and 13 times the past 2 weeks. So we'll keep that in mind. Tyler Algier this week. Pretty good start, yeah.
Yeah, he's running the ball a lot. I
And
don't
same
see
with
him
Foreman,
throwing the
too.
ball anymore.
I think this game's going to be lame, and there's going to be a lot of running, and I think Foreman and Algier are both starts.
Yeah, I agree.
What about Moore in London?
I would I would start DJ Moore over London by a big margin this week.
Yeah, they're
Like there's no targets to be had when the ball's only being thrown a total of 14 and 13 times. Like there's nothing that can be done with that.
and they're really trying to make a concerted effort to get DJ Moore like extremely involved too. Like 11, 8, 7, 10 targets the last 4 weeks, you know? And against Atlanta this week, I really think DJ Moore's a smash start.
Yeah, I agree with that. Drake London makes me nervous. I would fade him if at all possible.
Yeah, just the volume, like you were saying, I agree.
If they get back to what they were doing early on in the season, he had 7, 12, 6, 7, and 7 targets.
That it would be
And
more
then,
than 50% of the target volume. 13 and 14
yeah,
passes, you know? That's crazy.
they need to throw the ball more. I want him out of my lineup until I see them start to throw the ball more.
What about, so obviously we're going to totally disregard, obviously, what about Kyle Pitts? We'll bring him up because, you know.
Same thing as Drake London.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
There's no volume to be had. I mean, I guess it's easier to start Kyle Pitts because he's in the tight end position, and tight end is like a weird position than
Right.
Drake London. But I don't feel
Pray for
comfortable
a
with either of them.
touchdown. Any interest in Terrence Marshall, Smith, Chenault, Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, any of that? Or are we ready to go?
Terrence Marshall interests me a tiny bit.
He interests me as a bench stash because he played 90% of snaps last week without Robbie Anderson for the first time, you know? And I think just being on the field could lead to something. 3 targets, 2 catches, 31 yards. It's not super impressive, but if you have an empty roster spot, I do agree with that on Terrence Marshall.